It says I'm live now. I hope I am whenever you're watching this. If you're watching this live, you know that it is Saturday, October 14th, 2023. And if you're watching it sometime in the future on YouTube or something else, uh, it is not now. It's in the future. Okay. And I hope I'll be live then too. But anyway, I'm stressing the date because there is what they call a ring of fire uh, solar eclipse going on right now. Right now, at least here in Sacramento. Now, it's not the really sexy ring of fire that they have in other parts of the country, which is it's like a total eclipse, okay, where it's perfect, where you can see it perfectly. It's a total eclipse, except the moon is far enough away that in its ecliptical cycle, uh, that it doesn't quite completely obscure the sun. So there's literal ring of fire around it. So it's not a total black thing. And here in Sacramento, it's sort of a like a crescent sun at the moment, and it will be for another half hour or so. So it went into and I went out to take a walk to get my coffee. And the coffee shop was so crowded, I'd still be standing in line and I wouldn't be able to get back here for Saturday morning cartoons. So that tells me partial ring of fire solar eclipses is bad luck. And they make people crabby. At least they make me crabby when I don't get my goddamn coffee in the morning. So you'll have to forgive me. But Constance did quickly make me a cup of green tea, or let's see, what is this? Oh, it's oolong tea. Oh, so I'm going to go ahead and have a sip of that because it'll perk me up just a little bit. Thank you for sharing that moment with me. Okay. Eclipses. Uh, there's superstitions involved with eclipses, and as you can imagine, primitive people, once they were cognizant of the world around them to the extent of noticing that the sun, when it blanks out in the middle of the day, you can imagine it freaks them out. And there's always the old movies where primitive people have cannibals have put you in the pot getting ready to cook you, and all of a sudden you've got your calendar, your almanac handy, and you go, I can make the sun black out in the sky if you only get me out of this goddamn pot. I think the plot of Mark Twain in King Arthur's Court, I think that's part of the plot. But anyway, it generates fear, and at the best, it generates a series of legends and superstitions that are associated with the solar eclipse, because it's a pretty dramatic celestial event. And it's often, these superstitions are often what you should be cautious of or afraid of, um, or what the solar eclipses portend. And I'm not sure if it's solar eclipses that in the past has portended the death of kings, uh, but I think it does. I think it's the death of kings thing. But I just wanted to uh, uh, talk for Saturday morning cartoons. I like to leave it light, but today I can't with what's going on uh, in the world. It's really hard to be lighthearted at the moment, and I do the best I can. Okay, but I wrote a couple things about fear and the role, the negative role fear plays in the life of a magician or in the life of a spiritual aspirant of any kind. But just generically speaking, fear sucks for everybody. And hatred is a form of fear. And if we want to get all dualistic about everything, we could say the opposite of fear is joy. But I think joy is so big that it doesn't have an opposite. So fear is the opposite of some other small opposite, but it's dangerous. And one of the most beautiful, poetic, almost Shakespearean in intensity was a scene from the Game of Thrones. Now, I don't have cable, and I've only seen a couple episodes of the Game of Thrones when I was staying with friends in Connecticut. They had it on TV, and so it was just beautiful. And I got to see this scene. And there's a young prince, okay, and the prince has got himself injured or something, and he's laying in bed, and he's a spoiled little prince, and he's got an old nanny, old Nan, okay, and I wish I had the name of the actress at the tip of my tongue, but I don't. But uh, you know, there are no small English actors. I'm sorry. There are no small parts in a production of a British drama. Even the smallest characters, the almost the extras, are just insanely good actors. And old Nan just gave this incredible performance, and the little kid was saying, "Oh, I'm afraid, I'm afraid." And you know the Game of Thrones thing, they talk about an endless night, a night that lasts for hundreds of years, kind of thing. And it's a spooky, weird sort of alternate reality. But here's old Nan sitting by the bed. Okay. And she says, "Oh, my sweet summer child," old Nan said quietly. "What do you know of fear?" "Fear is for the winter, my little lord, when the snows fall 100 feet deep and the ice wind comes howling out of the north. Fear is for the long night, when the sun hides its face for years at a time, and little children are born and live and die all in darkness, while the dire wolves grow gaunt and hungry and the White Walkers move through the woods. That wasn't Shakespeare. That was George R. R. Martin. And whoever the actress was, I hope a Facebook friend will post her name because she was just absolutely marvelous. In my book, Low Magic, I have what I call Chapter 0. Okay, this is Low Magic. I always got to plug a book. Okay, Low Magic, it's all in your head. You just have no idea how big your head is. And it's got a Chapter 0. Because Low Magic is about Solomonic magic, demon evocation, practical magic, magic that works on the material plane or is meant to work on the material plane, in-your-face magic. I don't think it's low magic at all. I think you have to be a high magician to do low magic. And if low magic helps you be a high magician, then it's high magic. But first let's talk about fear. 2 little epigrams. Speak of the devil and he appears. And that's an Italian proverb. And here's another epigraph from Rabbi Lamed Ben Clifford. Brilliant man. Don't know what happened to him. For a magician, it is better to be possessed by the demon than ignored by him. It is a sad fact, at least from my perspective, that not everyone who picks up this book and thumbs through it will end up buying it. It is also true that not everyone who buys it and takes it home will read it from cover to cover. So just in case these opening remarks are the only words you will ever read from this book, I'm going to immediately exploit this fleeting moment we have together and impart to you in large uppercase letters the most important secret of magic and life. Do not be afraid. Now, if you're short on time, please feel free to close the book and fearlessly go on with your life. Don't get me wrong, it's good to be cautious. It's good to be wise. It's good to be measured and thoughtful in all your actions and behavior. But fear is poison to your magical practice and poison to your life. Please know that I'm not preaching this gospel of fearlessness from the marble pulpit of righteousness and courage. On the contrary, I'm shouting it from the pasteboard megaphone of my own ignoble and cowardly character. When I began my life as a practicing magician, it seemed like I was afraid of everything. When I rehearsed my first pentagram and hexagram rituals, I superstitiously monitored everything from my heartbeat to my horniness. I fantasized seeing things out of the corner of my eye and recorded the most outlandish speculations in my diary. I realize now that most of my fears of things that go bump in the night arose from the deepest stratum of my childhood religious programming. In less evasive words, I was still consciously and unconsciously brainwashed by my Christian upbringing, or at least that particular kind of Christian upbringing, which Calvinistic, evangelical type thing. Although I was a Methodist, I'm digressing here. I was a Methodist, And that wasn't too hellfire and brimstone. As a matter of fact, uh, everything officially that came from the Methodists was pretty damn unobjectionable. Uh, but that was not the religious atmosphere I was brought up in, which was uh, a sort of uh, provincial misreading of Methodism. Okay. Anyway, I digress. I was still consciously and unconsciously brainwashed by my Christian upbringing, still trapped in a hostile universe that reverberated with the thundering curses of a wrathful God who frightens little children into acceptable behavior so that they grow into obedient, God-fearing adult little children. I was programmed by films and literature based on that unwholesome doctrine of fear and self-loathing. Today, as I review my old diaries, it all seems pretty silly and melodramatic. And I always quote this. I'm sure you've heard it a million times on these morning shows. Performed greater invoking pentagram ritual of fire for the first time. Later in the day, broke a shoelace and had acid reflux. Or slept with a Mars talisman under my pillow. Dreamed of my father's corpse. It was eaten by seahorses. Woke up with an erection. I know you've heard it a million times, but I just get a kick out of saying it again. I thank the gods that in those early days, a knowledgeable and experienced and competent magical mentor, Phyllis Seckler, who, when not projecting her own fears of low magic upon me, mercilessly ridiculed my childish fears and helped me develop an attitude akin of that of a motivated research scientist who is driven by intense curiosity and a sense of scientific wonder. Remember Laura Dern's character in the film Jurassic Park, the first one? Rolling up her sleeves and plunging her arm into a huge pile of dinosaur poop for a clue to the poor animal's tummy ache. Well, sometimes a magician is faced with even more disturbing psychological and spirit world challenges. And the key to meeting those challenges is that same detached attitude of fearlessness, determination, and an unshakable passion for enlightenment. I recently received a letter from a magician who believed that her mood swings and other health issues were the result of her magical workings. Here's a portion of my letter back to her. I hope you'll find it encouraging. Dear name withheld. Concerning mood swings and health issues vis-a-vis your magical practices, it's usually best to ascribe them to normal demons of body chemistry and the stress of 21st century urban life. More often than not, a head cold or the flu isn't caused by a backlash for a magical operation. Even if it were a negative reaction to your magical working, your doubts and fears over the matter only serve to give the entities you fear permission and encouragement to keep feeding on your insecurities, and perhaps much more, by becoming preoccupied as to where this pain or that fever might be a demon messing with you. You voluntarily give the demon power to give you that pain or fever. In a very real sense, the demon has evoked you. Try to remain mindful that you'll probably live through all of your magical workings. except perhaps the last one. And that nothing neutralizes the power of a pesky demon more than having its scariness ignored. Remember what it says in Liber Libriae. Humble thyself before thyself. Yet fear neither man nor spirit. Fear is failure and the forerunner of failure, and courage is the beginning of virtue. Now, that's also in a Golden Dawn lecture that Liber Libriae is a hybrid of, or a admendation. Eclipses are traditionally associated with a time in spiritual cultures that deal more with psychology and less with superstition. Eclipses are a time of self-reflection, where you reflect on things. And so it's a kind of a time to be quiet, enjoy the extended midday twilight, and just be quiet and reflect on things. I can think of no better thing to do on this Saturday eclipse day than to reflect on that last line from Liber Libriae. Humble thyself before thyself. Yet fear neither man nor spirit. Fear is failure, and the forerunner of failure. And courage is the beginning of virtue. And that's our brief Saturday morning cartoons. I hope to be with you tomorrow for Sunday school. Until then, continue to be good to yourself, be good to each other, fear not. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.